Hi, everyone. Happy end of the year from PMSF. This is Kate Still, Scientific Director, and I want to provide you with some trends that we've been noticing in this past year in science and medicine, with some of our initiatives at the foundation that bring us the most hope, that are the most exciting, and aren't necessarily individual deliverables, but are rather bringing us hope for the future. So the first one is your engagement in research studies. So many of you know that we often at the foundation receive applications from external groups such as academic labs and industry partners asking us to engage you in research. And we have a pretty thorough review process for this, including our staff and family volunteers. So thank you to everyone who is involved in that before we actually send out information to you all and make sure it's relevant, make sure it's not taking up an unreasonable amount of time. But once we do that, it's really up to you whether you engage with it. And I have to say that I've seen this year a huge uptick in the number of requests and the number of relevant research studies. But I've also seen such strong engagement from you all on many, many occasions. And this is, I want to give just a couple of examples. We have the highest engagement of all three groups under the umbrella of our natural history study that's been going on for a long time. We're actually studied alongside two other disorders, and we have the highest engagement for the study. This is also true for the Inchstone project. You may have seen me send around information about the Inchstone project, which includes a lot of rare epilepsies and neurodevelopmental disorders. And we have the highest engagement of all groups there. And what does that matter? It really means that funders and research teams will take us seriously as a foundation and as a community because we have shown the ability to create robust data sets. So the more people that participate in these studies, the more confidence we can have in the data, and the more likely that we will get back summary data for our specific disorder, or that work will continue for our disorder. So for something like a natural history study, this can actually mean that your participation can impact whether the NIH funds another cycle, and you have had a real impact on that. For the Inchstone project, an example might be that with really robust data, the team can go to the FDA and actually receive good interaction based off of the amount of data and improving these assessments. So I don't mean to say that you need to participate in research or that it's not burdensome, because it really is, and we know that. But I just wanted to say that we've seen an increase in relevant studies that we're engaging in this year, and an increase in your participation, especially compared with other groups. So it's been really, really amazing to see, and I don't think we say enough how much it matters, because I'm the one that gets to attend these calls and hear these results, and we want you to know that. Another area that has been a big trend this year has been our role in funding research. So this year, we really formalized this role with our research grants program and committed $210,000 across 3 grants. We have a lot more information elsewhere about what categories these were and what we funded this year, including on my podcast and on our website and over email. But one of the things that I really wanted to mention is how much this has broadened our research network, especially for early career investigators. So for 2 of our 3 grants, we required that the applicant be an early career investigator or have a low number of years after their last degree, such as PhD or MD. And this really matters because the earlier in their career a researcher is, the more likely they are to focus on that, have openness to new topics. So if they do receive funding for Phelan-McDermid syndrome and create data and a research program around this, there's more likelihood that we now have an invested researcher who may have their own lab, their own funding focused on this. So our research grants program is really focused on helping people to overcome a lot of the barriers in getting funding for rare disease, help them to collect data that can be preliminary for further applications, and help them to be invested. So this was something that really brought us a lot of hope this year, and we saw a lot of engagement from the research community and from families. We had 12 family reviewers who reviewed all grants alongside our scientists and advisors, and had an equal say to our scientific advisors in what got funded. So thank you so much to everyone on that. And we've also seen a return from previous years of funding. So previously, we funded a neuropsychiatric illness award. And you may have seen a recent circulation of a survey called PIPS, which is focused on psychiatric inventory and Phelan-McDermid syndrome. And this was really developed and born from the research project that we funded. So this was developed by Dr. Asif Rahman, working with Dr. Alex Collison, from funding from the Phelan-McDermid Syndrome Foundation, to look into what remaining questions you really need to go back to families with to better understand neuropsychiatric illness. So we were really proud to see this developed from our funding, and we will continue to circulate all future updates from our funding, including publications, surveys, and results. So we're really looking forward to that and having some of the people we funded this year present at next year's conference. Another area that we've seen huge progress in this past year that gives us a lot of hope is our relationship with drug developers and clinical trials. So our role at the foundation is really to reduce a lot of barriers to clinical trials. Part of this is to help companies be invested based off of the size of our population or the amount of research that's been going on, or connecting them with key opinion leaders or experts in the field that have a lot of experience. But another part of this has been helping to adapt outcome measures, and we have a lot of information on this also on my podcast and on other communications about why they're so important, but really adapting measures with the help of families to measure progress from a treatment or a drug. So we have a number of ongoing projects in this, including adapting the ORCA measure, a lot of the inchstone work, and adapting GI measures. And we're really proud of this work in our engagement with industry partners. We've also seen a really big increase in our number of relationships with new biotech companies or with pharmaceutical companies. And we can't always share what's going on exactly in the moment with these relationships, because we often sign NDAs with these groups, but we can share things as soon as they become public. So will continue to do that, but we have a lot of hope for a lot of different types of therapies that have a lot of irons in the fire for Phelan-McDermid syndrome that are really blossoming right now. And another thing that we have seen this past year is successful engagement with the Neuron Pharmaceuticals phase 2 clinical trial for NNZ-2591. That enrollment was successfully completed in July. We helped to steward the funds for travel for that and to educate the community, and that has been successfully completed. And Neuron has released a statement that top-line results from this study will be available very shortly, if not already out by the time you're watching this recording. In the future, we really hope to formalize our relationships with pharma companies by having things such as how to work with us, a how to work with us guide made in partnership with families, including do's and don'ts for engagement with the foundation and the community, either in clinical trials or prior, with engagement from you all. And the last area I'd really like to talk about is education and engagement with the community. This has been a huge effort for us this past year. The podcast Convo with Dr. Kate was really came from us focusing on what the best way to deliver information was. We want to bring you along for the ride for all of the current research, even if it's not published yet, by talking with the experts one-on-one every month, in a way that you can listen in your car, you can listen in the house while doing something else without having to read a long document. So that has been a major effort for us this year, as well as hiring a science and research coordinator, Amanda Bergen, who works really closely with me. And she's responsible for circulating a lot of the resources that you see, including leading the deep dive into clinical consensus guidelines that she helps put together every month for you all to dissect a lot of the publications that came out this past year. We also have been really focusing on engagement at conferences. I've attended 4 or 5 conferences this past year and have been engaging with a lot of advocacy groups, scientists, clinicians, and industry partners in these events. And finally, we are updating a lot of our research content on our website. We've been doing this for a while, but there should be 4 or 5 new pages that will be available in the start of 2024 to provide you a lot more detail about our strategic priorities and a lot of detail on things like current and past clinical trials and what's going on with those. So I hope you check those out and I hope they're interesting to you. And in the future, for next year, something that we're really thrilled about is bringing you the best science and medicine updates for our family conference, our international conference happening in July. I'm thrilled to see so many of you there. It's been 6 years since the foundation had an in-person conference, and we couldn't be more excited to be bringing you the most current information. So really looking forward to that. So these are some of the main things that, when I think about at the end of the day, what's bringing hope, these are them. I hope they're also bringing you hope. And I hope that you have a peaceful and restful remainder of the holiday season. So thank you so much.